Hi, my name is Solaris and I love horror movies. The first time I watched a horror movie, it was a really long time ago. I was like 12 years old and the movie that I watched was called The Unborn. It was a really terrifying movie for back in that day, and I was a really young girl. So I ended up crying halfway through the movie and having to step out of the movie theater since I had gone to watch it on release date at the movie theater with my family. I had to step out of the movie theater and recollect myself. Even though I couldn't go back into the theater and finish the movie. After that day, I was really traumatized and I wanted to overcome this fear of horror movies. So I started exposing myself to a lot of horror movies in the coming years and up until now, so I could overcome that fear. I ended up overcoming it fairly quickly, I would say, because I watched probably over 100 horror movies in next to that event. And all this exposure to horror movies, to all these types of horror movies, like gory, cult classics, slasher films, psychological thrillers, dark horrors, comedy horrors too. After all this exposure, it affected me as a person. I became less, prone to being disgusted by a lot of things, like blood, all that scary stuff that horror movies have a lot in. And it affected my personality, and it also affected my future aspiration as a professional. After all this exposure to horror movies, I started appreciating them for what they were. A lot of work, a lot of creativity, a lot of teamwork, and a lot of determination to be able to produce a really good movie without having it relying on jump scares, really loud noises, and all these types of gimmicks that make scary movies generally scary for the audience. In the most recent years, a lot of really good horror movies have surfaced that doesn't necessarily rely on jump scares. For example, Midsommar and Hereditary. They're really good horror movies, and they inspired me even more to be able to want to create a horror movie all on myself and write it. So it gave me a purpose on my future professional career. So I want to be able to write my own horror movie thanks to this first traumatic experience I had when I was a little girl, and all this coming exposure to all these horror movies. And I love it. I love the creativity, I love the determination, and I just want to be able to create my own, because I watched a lot of them and I just really want to create my own. And yeah, horror movies gave me they inspired me and they gave me something to aspire. So I am really grateful for horror movies to have given me that. Have a nice day.